Hello, everyone. This is Betsy Wurzel, your host of Chatting with Betsy on Passionate World Talk Radio Network, a subsidiary of Global Media Network, LLC. Our mantra is to educate, enlighten, and entertain. The views of the guest may not represent those of the host of the station. Folks, I am very excited today, and I'm so honored. I have two special guests with me today. Before I introduce you to the guests, I want to tell you about the book that they co-wrote together. And I'm going to tell you this. Everybody should read this book, not just people in the psychology world or social services. I think every teacher, I think every social worker, I think it should be in medical schools, I think it should be in every pediatrician's office, every primary care physician's office. That's how strong I feel about this book, which touched me deeply. The name of the book, Between Two Worlds, a psychiatrist and her son's quest for compassionate mental health care. And as you all know, I am a huge mental health care advocate. And with me today is Dr. Ellen L. Bassuk. She is a psychiatrist, researcher, clinician, and advocate whose 5-decade career has focused on mental health, homelessness, and vulnerable populations, especially families and children. She served as Associate Professor of Psychiatry at Harvard Medical School for nearly 40 years and is the founder of the National Center on Family Homelessness and C4 Innovations. The author of more than 150 peer-reviewed publications, she is a Distinguished Life Fellow of the American Psychiatric Association and has received numerous honors, including an honorary doctorate, the Northeastern University, the Blanche E. Idelson Award for the Promotion of Children's Mental Health, and the American Psychological Association Distinguished Contribution to Child Advocacy Award. Also with me today is Daniel M. Schoonover, Dr. Bassuk's son, who co-wrote the book. He is a devoted animal lover and volunteer, committed to supporting overlooked creatures and communities with hands-on experience in herpetology and marine life care, including work at the Woods Hole Science Aquarium and the MSPCA. He has spent much of his life nurturing the natural world. Currently studying at the BU Center for Psychiatric Rehabilitation, Daniel is deepening his knowledge of spirituality, recovery, and wellness while continuing his exploration of herpetology. He also volunteers at a food bank, plays electric and acoustic guitar, and practices martial arts. Whether caring for animals or helping others, Daniel is dedicated to making a meaningful impact. Well, I want to thank you both, Dr. Bassuk and Daniel, for joining me today and for being so brave and courageous for writing this wonderful, heart-touching book. I want to thank you for sharing your stories. It touched me deeply, and I thank you for that.
You're welcome.
And thank you for such a nice introduction.
Yes.
Oh, you are welcome. Dr. Bassuk, I'm going to start with you. And Daniel, you could chime in after your mom. I know what motivated you to write this book, but can you tell the audience what motivated you to write this, such a heartfelt memoir, it felt like to me. And you know, I have to tell you, I felt your frustration because when you know that you need help, you need answers, and no doctor's giving you answers, that is frustrating. I have gone through something similar with my son, looking for answers, and nobody would believe me. So I felt that come across the pages.
Mm-hmm. The decision to write this book was sort of an organic evolution as Danny became better and was able to communicate his internal experience. I thought it would be very important to describe our lifelong experience with mental illness and give people the hope and the purpose that Danny found as he, I hope you didn't, that was a beep on the phone, sorry,
That's okay.
As time passed. Also, the mental health world at this point is in big trouble. The system is really broken, and it's critical that there be attention to it and that people with major mental illnesses are treated appropriately, and that there are staff available to see them. So that's a long answer to...
No, it's not. Thank you.
Well,
that's fine. Go ahead, Daniel.
Well, I just wanted to say that is completely true. The mental health system, as we know it in this country today, is broken, and it means trouble for people that are mentally ill. And I've been
Absolutely.
mentally ill since I was 19. It's the greater part of my life I've been mentally ill, and it's totally broken.
Yes, and not just the mental health care system, but the whole health care system is broken. And I've been saying that for, well, at least a good 15 years, 8 years on Passionate World Talk Radio. I've been discussing that. And I feel, Dr. Bassuk and Daniel, that COVID brought out the mental health care more, making it, I want to say more acceptable, but there's still a lot of stigma to mental health and seeking mental health care treatment. And it should be, in my opinion, accepted. And I will keep singing the same tune, no matter how redundant I sound, that we need to support people going through a mental health illness or a crisis. And I always say this, we never know what life has in store for us, and life can throw you a curveball, and you're going to need support. And would you want people to make fun of you? I say that all the time, and I'm very passionate about that, as you could tell. Daniel, I have to tell you, and you too, Dr. Bassuk, my heart I guess broke when I read how Daniel was treated in school, even being abused by the people who were supposed to help him. I think I cried when I read that. I was so touched.
Wow. Well, the schools, they're well-intentioned, but they do not have the resources or the knowledge. And so that kids who are different, have huge difficulties because they just have no appropriate resources. And that's what we ran into with Danny.
Well,
they kept making up plans. Go ahead, Dan.
Well, they're not properly trained at all. They enter the job with no experience in dealing with such a problem child, and you know they don't, you know, they hire people with no experience. But the problem is, you know, if you want to, you know, be like work in the school, you got to start somewhere. But they're just not very mindful of it all. It doesn't work.
I agree.
The whole thing. It just doesn't work.
No. And what we did was, when Danny was 11, the school wanted to institutionalize him and throw the key away. They didn't want to deal with it anymore. And so we just pulled him out of school. And because of the laws, they had to set up a homeschooling program. So we were able to better pick and choose staff. And over time, what evolved is that the staff who were able to relate to Danny were regular people, or people with, as they say in the mental health world, people with lived experience who could really relate to him as a person just like you and me, and who saw the illness as just one part of the human experience and not anything strange and all-consuming.
Yeah, that's true. When we hired, my homeschool tutors and everything, once I got pulled from school, we didn't just hire anybody. We would interview them and talk about it, and I ended up, being surrounded by better people finally. Although I did get pulled from school, and they did want to institutionalize me, but little did I know, I would get institutionalized anyway. It happened anyway. So I was in the mental health system pretty deeply, actually.
Yes, you went through a lot, Daniel. If you don't mind, how old are you now, Daniel?
Oh, I'm 41.
Oh, you're the same age as my son.
Oh, wow.
My son's 41. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he'll be 42 in July, and the reason why I asked that is because, especially, back in the 80s, 90s, I don't think that you're right, school staff is not trained properly, and I don't think they, in a way, they wanted to deny, this child could have a mental health problem, a mental health illness. I don't think they, in a way, they want to recognize that. Or if they do, they don't know what to do about it.
And also, there isn't staff out there to help.
Mm-hmm.
The number of mental health staff has diminished hugely in the last decade. And it's really at a crisis now because they're not available. And a lot of the psychiatrists who in the past talked to patients and spent time with them now hand out pills and see patients for 15 minutes a month. And you can't get to know a person that way.
That's true.
So the push now is to hire, or at least people who understand the recovery movement, is to hire so-called crisis workers, who are people, many of whom have had so-called lived experience and have gone through a mental health crisis or an illness. And those people are able to relate much better, I think.
Yes, I've heard that. Mm-hmm.
Right, that would be better. That would be better.
No, go ahead, Daniel.
Opposed to people. Well, that would be better as opposed to people who only care about their paycheck on Friday.
Absolutely.
After they work in a school or mental health system, they're not continuing in that direction. It's only a temporary job, and they don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I thought of my son, Dr. Bassuk, when you talked about Daniel going to Gymboree. Josh went to Gymboree. My son's name is Josh. And Daniel was crying, and my son would cry. My son is on the autism spectrum. And
so that's another set
I didn't
problems.
know it then. Yeah, I didn't know it then, but he would scream and cry, and I, saw that he was delayed in development, and I immediately thought of the first time that I went to took Josh to Gymboree. So we had that in common. And I, when you asked and they're searching, and you're a psychiatrist, so, many people might say, okay, you have a leg up because you're in the field and you probably, suspected something. Did you ever have doctors, I know the answer, but I want the audience to hear it. question you as your ability as a mother? Because they always love to blame the mother.
Oh, of course. Yes, I was blamed by every system repeatedly. The worst was the criminal justice system, the police, because we had a few skirmishes with the police, and they blamed Mother. It was black and white. It was my fault. And in the schools, they were a little bit more knowledgeable about it, but of course, the mother is the person who did not prevent this or protect their child. Yes, I was blamed and in fact, in my neighborhood, if a light bulb went out or if there was any problem, I'd get a phone call. So, and it just shows the general stigma about mental health, although mental health is such a common problem across the board. And for the very serious mental illnesses, there are probably 4 million Americans who have them. That's a lot. And it's a hugely expensive problem.
Yes. Yes, it is.
For the country.
Go ahead. Yes. It definitely is. I remember, I think it was in the 90s, maybe late 80s, early 90s, when they closed down some of the mental health facilities in New Jersey. And then these people were homeless, as you know, because you worked with the homeless.
Yeah, I do.
And so, not taking their medication.
That's actually. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Daniel. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that there is a definite correlation between mentally ill and homeless. There's so many homeless people that are mentally ill. Being at BU and other places, we've had a lot of mentally ill homeless people. And once they were going to let me out of an institution, and they were literally going to have a van outside, and they were just going to drop me off in front of a homeless shelter, Pine Street Inn. They were going to do that.
That's what happened.
I managed to get an apartment instead.
Well, you were fortunate, but that's what happened. And that they either were homeless or they were put in a facility, because I worked at a state institution for the severely disabled, or they put people with the mental illness in that population, because they said, oh, okay, they have a disability and they have a mental illness. But we weren't equipped. That facility wasn't equipped to handle patients with that kind of severity of mental illness. And I think, Daniel, I want to ask you, Daniel, I think it was so interesting when you described the voices and the illustrations of what the voices look like. I thought that was
are very neat. That's one
I thought that.
Cool thing about the book is you get to see the actual illustrations, and it was done by a very talented artist that we hired to illustrate my visual hallucinations. It was a really good idea, and I think it worked really well.
I thought it was fascinating because I always wanted to know, because I'm a curious person, and I always wanted to know, okay, people with schizophrenia, what do they hear? What do they see? Do these people do have a face? And you answered that for me. I find hallucinations very interesting because everyone hallucinates differently. And I'll give you an example. My late husband, he had early onset Alzheimer's, and he hallucinated. And when he hallucinated, he would see men all the time. Now, thank you. He would see men all the time, and he thought they were hurting him, sticking needles in his head and punching him.
That's
terrible. Yeah, it is terrible. And, the medications cause the side effects. especially in someone over 65. They're black box for people that are over 65. And I want to ask you, Daniel, did the medications, I'm sure it took experimental trial and error to find the medications that work. Were your hallucinations different at different times, or did you see all these voices at once? How was that like for you? Or what was that like for you?
Well, the voices seemed to evolve incrementally. It wasn't just the same the whole way through. When I started hallucinating at 19, it started out as voices, particularly Diesel, one of my voices, would pop up in a screen on the side of my eye and talk to me. And then they started becoming more prominent, and I started seeing them like walk across the street, drive by in cars, and then flying through the air, sort of like a poltergeist, like partially invisible. I could see on the other side pretty much. And then they evolved until they and they've always talked to me incessantly. I never go more than 15 minutes actually without hearing voices. They do talk incessantly all day, and currently they've evolved to be somewhat more benevolent than they once were. When I got a job working at Home Depot, they abated, and they quit a load. They quit about 90% of the behavior that they used to do that would really bother me, but only 90% of it. So there's still some turbulence, with my hallucinations.
But Danny, you also have said that a number of the voices are friendly.
Oh, yes, I wanted to get to that. A number of the voices are friendly, and I can name some of them. There's Diesel, there's the Bishop, there's the Fat Guy, there's friendly voices, and then there's the non-friendly voices, like Ed, William, and Leroy, who basically would harass me incessantly, and they've moved to more in the background, and the better voices are more up front now. I'm not exactly sure what to attribute to what the difference is and what to attribute the difference to, though. It's very hard for me to figure that one out.
Yeah, that's what's interesting. I mean, I do. I personally find it very fascinating. Even when my husband was hallucinating, I found it very fascinating. And people with Alzheimer's or other dementias, they all have different hallucinations.
Yeah, and
my
there
husband.
Are,
yeah. Go ahead, Dr. Bassuk.
There's a percentage of the population who hear voices that are not pathological and that are managed, but apparently 1 to 3% of the population hallucinates, and the voices are different. If you want to learn more about voices not related to schizophrenia, Oliver Sacks's book is really, really interesting. There's also a voice hearing network internationally that is huge, especially in Europe. So it's much more common than we know about, and it's not 100% pathological.
I just find it fascinating. Dr. Bassuk, can you explain to the audience what is schizophrenia? Because I think a lot of people don't understand.
Okay, schizophrenia is it's basically an illness of the brain. We do not know a lot about the brain. They don't have biomarkers or genetic profiles of people with schizophrenia, so there's not a huge amount known. But what happens is that people begin, there are 3 parts to it. One is the hallucinations, delusions, where there's a complete break from reality, and people no longer subscribe to the reality that I subscribe to. And that was part of the reason for how we named this book. But in addition, what tends to happen is as the illness continues, people lose motivation, their cognitive functioning is impaired, and there's a whole range of difficulties. People become more concrete in their thinking, have more difficulty abstracting, and it becomes sort of dictates a person's life at that point. But the break from reality is diminished as the illness goes on in a lot of people, but not all people. Some people, unfortunately, have the hallucinations and delusions throughout their lifetime.
That's true. It causes
struggle.
It causes, I get a flat affect. It affects me in like so many ways. Sometimes I wonder where this country's really heading with mental illness. Because as we were talking, it could be way better. But like if I got mental health treatment in like Norway or Iceland, it would probably have been way better. Just saying.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, because I mean, even as far as a lot of different illnesses in Europe, it's much better. I know with dementia, it is. They have these little villages. So, yeah, I could definitely understand that. I do like the title of your book, by the way, Dr. Bassuk and Daniel.
Thank you.
Between Two Worlds, and let me tell you what, that can go for so many different. I think a lot of people. Let me put it this way: a lot of people can relate to that. I live between two worlds, in a way I still do, and I think that title, when people see it on the bookshelf, I think it will really grab them. To pick up your book, and
I hope so.
Right, it's got a nice cover too. It's got a Van Gogh painting on the cover. So
it is. I do.
If you see it.
Yes, I do. I do really like the book cover. What is the title of the book? I mean, to you, Dr. Bassuk, and then you could answer the question, Daniel.
Well, the obvious meaning is that Danny's perception of the world and his internal experience and his reality is different than the usual. So it's Danny lives in a different perceptual world than I do. I don't have to communicate all day long with voices, nor do I hear them. So that's one of the worlds and the obvious one that the book describes. But it also describes a little bit about the systems breakdown, and as you pointed out, that it's just not the mental health system, it's the entire healthcare system is in big trouble. And we've talked in the book about the need to redesign psychiatry at this point. And that who knows what will happen, because the workforce is so diminished. And
yes.
There's also a difference. We can go on between the two worlds. There are differences in provider perspective. In the 1990s, trauma was not in the forefront. It is now. And some people think that these so-called psychotic disorders in which there's a break with reality are trauma-based, and that there's a lot of dissociation, and there's a lot of controversy about these disorders. They're categorized in DSM, which is the catalog of disorders, but in DSM, there's no relationship to treatment or outcomes. It just describes constellations of symptoms over particular time frames. So it's quite limited. So anyway, that wanders a little bit from your question. But the major two worlds we were describing was Daniel's experience and the more average experience.
I really think it was very courageous of you both to share your story with such authenticity. And Daniel, what was it like for you to be part of this book and telling your story and putting yourself out there?
Well, first of all, we almost called the book a community of, well, we came up with several names, and we picked Between Two Worlds, and it worked very well. What it means for me to be a part of this book is I saw it as an incredible opportunity, and I just had to be a part of this book. And when I was asked about it, I said, yes, I want to do this. And it's been 3 years in the making, and it was a huge success, actually, which is why I should be really proud of myself for having a hand in this book.
Yes.
Well, this book is the story of my life. It's the story of my mother's life. And it's extremely important, actually, and it's been a really good success in pretty much every aspect, actually. It was a really good idea to do it, and it took us like 3 years to get it done. And we were talking about it was kind of difficult to get this done in some ways, which is why I believe my mother's joking. We don't want a sequel, is what I believe she said. But who knows? Yeah. What if we wrote a sequel? Who knows?
You never know. But I just think your book is fantastic. I interviewed someone a couple of years ago, and she wrote about her experience with her mental illness. But yours is the second book where people are telling what they've experienced, what they experienced with the medical healthcare system, the mental healthcare system. And it's important to get your stories out there because our stories, our experiences help other people. And you are both helping others by have written this book and by talking on different talk shows. You are helping multitudes.
Right. Like not only do me and my mother learn from our own experiences, but other people learn from our experiences too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the other important thing about this experience is it started when the first comments we made in the book, Daniel was 6 months old. So it's really a life story of mental illness and recovery with the ongoing voices present and Daniel's ability to manage them and to live productively in the world and to have a fuller life and be very independent.
Yes, I think you should both be proud of each other and of yourselves, and I know that you probably are. And Dr. Bassuk, because you're in the field and, you probably made good money being in your field, but what about the people who can't afford to homeschool, to have tutors, or to, have someone institutionalized, or, it's expensive. And
yes.
I definitely know there are inequalities with healthcare, mental and, just the regular medical care for those who can't afford it. And
that's a question that I was pretty sure I'd be asked one day eventually. And my mother might be able to answer that one a little bit better than me, but yeah, there is the financial issue when somebody becomes mentally ill. It's a big drain in that way on family too. So,
Well, that's part of what has to be addressed in this country is the wealth gap and all the prejudice against various groups. Rural communities are in horrible trouble around mental health issues because there's no staffing and there's no money out there. So it's a very pervasive problem. And Betsy, as you pointed out repeatedly, the stigma around mental health illnesses is still huge and is part of the problem.
Yes, it definitely is, and that has to stop.
Yep.
There's programs for people that have mental illness, such as Webster House. There's groups, there's places. I used to work in the kitchen at Webster House. It was a day place for mentally ill people, and those places are free. And if you don't have a lot of money and you can't afford anything, places like that are a good place to spend your whole day at. Even they do have very, very non-costly alternatives. I'd hate to say that the more money you have, the better you're going to get treatment.
Yes,
but they're few and far between is the problem. And the prejudice is, as we described in the book, it goes back hundreds of years. It's a very deep-seated prejudice.
Yes. Yes, it is. And people, they not only stigmatize those who seek support, but they make fun of them and call them names. And, I just want to tell the world, stop, people. Because you never know. I always say, by the grace of God go I. And I know what it's like to seek support and to be made fun of by my own family members when I was a teenager. And it takes a strong person to keep going for support when you are being gaslighted and being made fun of. It's not a weak person that can take that. It's a strong person. And I will keep speaking out about the stigmas. I know COVID, everybody, it seemed like, was going through a very rough time, and there was a shortage. Like you said, Dr. Bassuk, there's a shortage of doctors, of mental health care workers, and there were waiting lists.
Yeah.
To see somebody, and we really, I don't have the answers, but we really do need to change the system, because you can't just keep yes, people do need medication. I know that's trial and error of medication, but you can't just throw pills at somebody. You have to talk to them, get to know them as a person, and see what's going on with them. And not just them, but their family. The whole picture.
Yep. And the book is also aimed at parents like myself who find themselves in the position of caring for kids with significant disorders that the system can't absorb and do not treat well. And what we did was we were fortunate to have the resources to be able to step away and create our own staff who have been with Danny for more than a decade.
Yes, and very fortunate. I was thinking and reading your book, there was a little boy in the preschool. He must have been, I think he was 4. And I said to my coworkers, and they, probably thought I was, talking out of my head. I said, this boy doesn't get some serious help, you're going to read about him in the paper. He was aggressive. He talked about doing harm to people. He was already kicked out of one preschool for choking a child.
Oh my goodness.
And
wow.
for some reason, he liked me, and I would stay with him during nap time, and to make sure he was, kind of keeping as quiet as he could. And he told me, I'll never forget it, he said, "Miss Betsy, it doesn't bother me to hurt people." I mean, and so...
Yeah, that's trouble. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and I told the director, and, he eventually left because we just couldn't handle him. I hope that boy got the help that he needed. I really do. But you see, Dr. Bassuk, as well, and I know you as well as Daniel know, there's red flags. There was red flags at that age. And if people don't see it and they are in denial about it, and who's going to suffer but that child, his family, and society? And we need to be open, when somebody does present a, I don't like to say the word problem, but a difficulty, a illness. Excuse me. We need to be open to providing the care and the support. And I firmly believe that not just treating the patient, but caring for the other family members as well, and dealing with the patient. Families need support. They don't need judgment. They don't need to be told, snap out of it, be strong, or any of that other nonsense that people say that I can't stand, Dr. Bassuk and Daniel. I really just have such a passion, really, for this topic. And I have to commend you, Daniel, when I'm reading about, the book and how you care for snakes. I was like, I got to ask Daniel, how did you get interested in snakes? And were you ever afraid of them? Because I've heard stories about, snakes.
Snakes, yes. Well, first of all, I want to thank you for your empathy.
Sure.
You seem to have very, very, very good understanding of this book, and I feel like you're getting us already. But when it comes to snakes, I do remember when I was a kid, and I did want a pet snake actually. And what we did was, my mother took me to a pet shop and got me a baby red-tailed boa. And we didn't know anything about snakes at the time, I didn't even know much about snakes at the time at all. And it actually grew very, very large, very, very quickly. And the snake actually, I had it around my neck one time, and it started strangling me to death, and my mother got it off me.
Yeah, that's what I heard that they could do.
We were careful about it, Danny. That was your first snake, but you've had lots of snakes.
Yes. Well, the last snake I had was a blood python that I had for probably 10 years, and her name was Sophia, that I got at a snake convention, and she grew very, very large and almost couldn't be housed at her size with the enclosure I could get. There were just, I got a 90-gallon enclosure that I ordered online, and she outgrew that very quickly.
And Danny, what do you like about snakes?
Yes.
What do I like about snakes?
Uh-huh.
It actually depends on the snake, because in my opinion, snakes make phenomenally great pets as long as they can't kill somebody or put somebody in a hospital. So,
right.
Well, you have to know how to handle
I do like snakes, but I like snakes like, ball pythons, corn snakes, rat snakes, all the snakes that can't really, really chomp me or send me to the hospital or that are dangerous,
Right.
And I had some potentially dangerous, snakes in the past, and I currently don't have any snakes, but if I ever get a snake again, I still maintain my interest in reptiles and stuff. I wouldn't get a very dangerous one at all, because I know better these days. Then it gets bad. Yes, the snakes are very, very interesting to me, though.
Yeah, when I read about one of the snakes went missing in the house, and I was like, oh my goodness, I would be just like freaking out, worried about where the snake could be.
Well, they're escape artists, and if once they get away in your house, it could take a month to find it.
Wow.
Yeah, it took months to find her.
Oh my goodness!
We finally found her, Danny, in the bed springs. Remember?
Yeah, I had been sleeping on top of a snake underneath my bed for weeks. Yeah, I think we even check the bed frames periodically. I think that when they get away, they move around and rotate where they are hiding, or something like that.
Yeah, they're magicians. Yeah. They can crawl under doors, and I had to get adjusted to having snakes in the house.
Yeah,
and we also had to figure out how to feed them. That's the other big issue. But you make adjustments that are necessary as a parent.
Yeah, feeding snakes is an issue because they do require. You get like this frozen mice at Petco, and the only fortunate thing about it is that they only really need to eat once a week, or maybe once every 5 days or so. They can go quite some time without eating, and that makes them a little more manageable.
Yeah.
Oh, that is so interesting. Well, Dr. Bassuk and Daniel Schoonover, I so enjoyed talking to you both. And I want you both to know that I admire you both.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You have great strength, the both of you. You are role models. You are advocates. And I'll tell you, you could come on my show anytime. People need to hear more about your story. I didn't even cover half of it. Folks, I'm going to tell you, you need to get this book. Where can people find this book, Dr. Bassuk?
The best place are any bookstores but Amazon. It's right there at Amazon. And it's at Barnes & Nobles. It's at all the big bookstores.
And how can people connect with you? Do you have a website?
Yep. Through Bloomsbury's, the publisher's website. I don't have my own website right now because I'm involved with an organization.
Oh, okay. I don't have a website either, so that's okay. Yeah. So they could get a hold of you through the www.bloomsbury.com. Okay. Yeah. That's great. Well, I want to thank. How about you, Daniel? Is it the same? The can't even talk. The Bloomsbury.com.
Yeah, that'll work. If you want to contact me and have me and or my mother back on this show, then feel free to contact us.
Oh, I certainly will. I really want to thank you both for touching my heart and teaching me about someone living with schizophrenia, what you went through, what you both went through. Folks, I can't read about this book enough. You have to get this book. I highly recommend reading it. It will touch your life. And I want people just to be kind and compassionate. If people are struggling. A lot of people are struggling these days, and we need to be kind and compassionate. And excuse me, I want to thank you both for touching my life. And
you're a superb role model.
Thank you.
An empathic, kind person.
Oh, thank you so much. That's very nice. Oh, you're welcome, and my pleasure. My pleasure. Folks, all the information about Dr. Bassuk, and I'll spell the name, Bassuk, and Daniel's last name is Schoonover, Schoonover. Schoonover. And I highly recommend, again, you can Google Dr. Ellen Bassuk. There's a lot of information about her.
Yes.
She's quite a role model. You are quite a woman. You broke down those doors, Dr. Bassuk. You are bringing awareness, and we need awareness on schizophrenia. So I thank you, really, again. I can't thank you and Daniel enough for coming on but writing this book and showing your life and just being completely open. I just really admire you both, and I wish you much success on your book. And, yes, I will have to have you back on because it was very interesting talking to you, too. And I want to tell everyone, read the blog, The Jeannie White Writes, because that's information about the guest. I always encourage the audience to Google the guest. Because there's a lot about Dr. Bassuk that it would take a whole hour. She's a very impressive resume. And I want to thank Lillian Caldwell, who makes this all possible, the CEO of Pastor World Talk Radio Network. I want to thank Lissa Warren of Lissa Warren PR for arranging this interview. I want to thank you, the listeners, for listening. If you don't already subscribe to Chatting with Betsy, it is for free to subscribe to on Amazon Music, Spotify, Spreaker, iHeart. And you can follow me on Facebook, Betsy E. Wurzel, Wurzel. And as I always say at the end of my show, in a world where you could be anything, please be kind and shine your light bright because we need it now more than ever before. This is Betsy Wurzel, your host of Chatting with Betsy on Pastor World Talk Radio Network, a subsidiary of Global Media Network, LLC. It was nice chatting with you all today, and thank you all for listening again. Bye-bye now.